Our next panel is, or I should say speech, actually. Less of a panel, more of a speech. Sport England, moments of joy in a mad, mad world. We can certainly drink to that. And I'm delighted to welcome Kate Dale, who's the campaign director of Sport England, to the stage. A warm round of applause, please, for Kate on a warm day. And the floor is yours.
I'm not sure we need anything more warm, but thank you. And thank you for joining me this afternoon. I've been thinking in putting together this presentation about what it is we've been trying to do with This Girl Can over the last 11 years. And it's a campaign I don't think we'd probably be able to launch now, because the focus now, both personally and I think from a marketing perspective, is so much on optimization. We would have needed so much data that we didn't have that I don't think we'd have ever got going. And I was trying to think about why to me This Girl Can matters so much. Sport and physical activity are never just about sport, and we've seen that from the two previous presentations. They achieve so much more, and it's really amazing. I'm going to start with a slide that seemed like a good idea when I was putting this together at home, because it's me. I'm not sure it is now, but I was thinking about sport and what it's done for me. I wasn't sporty at school. I hated it. I was tall for my age. I wear glasses, very short-sighted. They made me goalkeeper in netball, took my glasses off so they wouldn't get broken, and then threw balls at my face that I couldn't see coming. And that's my visceral memory of sport at school, and it's a really visceral memory. But the flip side of that is, as I've grown up, sport, whether it's watching it or playing it, has created much better visceral memories that I can remember. And when I think about when my smile has been its broadest, when I've been most present, most disconnected from my phone, from my worries, from anything else, is to do with sport and physical activity. So that's swimming in a fjord in Denmark earlier this year, a very slow triathlon I did, walking with my sisters, or watching sport as well. This is when Jimmy Glass scored for Carlisle United. I'm from Carlisle. For Carlisle United, kept us in the league. This is in the 90s. You're all far too young. But in the last minute of the Football League, goalkeeper came up, scored for Carlisle, and I am somewhere in that crowd. And it was amazing. And these memories stay with me completely. And all of these, to me, really show to me that I think we spend too much time worrying about optimization and not enough time thinking about optimism. And optimism in sport is really important. England shouldn't have won on Sunday, and that's why I went to bed and missed the bloody game, because I didn't want to stay up and watch us lose. So I should have swallowed my own medicine. We shouldn't have won. We shouldn't have won before the game started. We shouldn't have won when we were down to 10 men. But we did, because something magic happened, something unscripted, something that no one could have foreseen, and something that, even just watching it back the next day, I think we'll all remember. Harry Kane's lost voice will just be something that I remember forever. And that's why sport matters, right? Because it creates something that actually takes us out of ourselves. It creates moments of joy. And that's not why we set up This Girl Can. We set up This Girl Can back in 2014 because there was a huge gender gap, male-female participation. We wanted to address that. Doing more of the same, of investing into opportunities to be active, wasn't doing anything, so we needed to do something different. We didn't think of it as moments of joy, but when I look back over the 11 years and all the stories I've heard through the campaign, that's pretty much what we did. We've achieved lots. What I'm not going to do today is go on about all the numbers that we did. I mean, a little bit. 53% of women recognise the campaign, the numbers who've got active as a result, the women we've been able to talk to because of it, and particularly women on lower incomes and from backgrounds where they are less likely to be active, has been fantastic. But what I'm not going to do today is go through the whole how we did it, our social media strategies, our paid media strategies, how we influenced. If you want to hear that, I'm happy to talk at length about it. Too hot today, but hit me up on LinkedIn or find me afterwards and I can tell you. I wanted instead to try and think about what are some of the main lessons that I've learned that I think are applicable in any challenge that we're trying to do, in any change that we're trying to create. And one of the things, and one of the pieces of insight that really came out and really stood out to me, is one quite recently actually, is that if you're someone who doesn't feel like they belong in sport and physical activity, then it's very easy to think that it's because of you. You don't have the right body. It's just not for women like you. It's for the incredible sporty, athletic types who you normally see in sports marketing. It's not for women who look and feel like you and who maybe, like I do, when you do a triathlon, you're so busy talking to the man in the canoe who's trying to stop you drowning that you forget to actually swim. But then you realise, and this is what's really come through the campaign, that it's not our women that needed to change and for This Girl Can to actually help women get active. It was the world of exercise, the way it's promoted, the way it's talked about, the way it's organised. They needed to change to better meet their needs. And so we started with insight. Insight is always the starting point for everything, and I've been talking about this for 10 years. This is our original insight. We recognised through the campaign, through the work that we did, that a real fear of judgment was affecting so many women and girls who didn't feel able to get active. That could be the way they looked. They didn't recognize themselves in sports marketing. They didn't want to wear lycra. They didn't think of being hot-faced and sweaty or maybe a bit jiggly as being feminine or something that you see. It's certainly not what you saw in sports marketing 11 years ago. They didn't feel able to do it. Maybe like me, they had bad memories from school. They're not sure about the equipment. They don't want to hold everyone up. One of the saddest stories I heard was a woman who didn't want to do the fun run with the kids at school because she didn't want to embarrass her children by coming last. And it just breaks my heart that it was, and I understand it, but that focus on performance over just joining in is so driven through sport. And obviously, sport should be competitive, but that's not all it has to be. And there was also a set of fears as well around priorities and women, especially women with children, feeling that it was selfish to spend time on themselves and not getting active. So that was the insight, but insight is only half of it. It takes imagination. So you take your insight and you think about, what if the world was different? What could we do that's different? What could we change? And for us, this is our manifesto that goes right through the campaign. Women come in all shapes, sizes and background, all levels of ability. Some are brilliant, some like me are rubbish. Doesn't matter. The point is that we're doing it, we're getting out there and we're feeling it and we're thinking about not what it makes us look like. Women are told to exercise. I mean, I'm in my 50s, I grew up being told to exercise because I was supposed to take up less space in the world, I was supposed to shrink, I was supposed to look a certain way. Not true. This is about getting active just because of how it makes you feel, the joy it can bring you. We brought this to life, and hopefully you recognise some of these. We brought this to life through really authentic images of women getting active in ways that worked for them, as close as possible to where they got active, no photoshopping, no airbrushing, no filters now, and never any AI on our women. And really showed what women look like. And women really generously shared their images, shared their cellulite, shared their jiggles, shared their red faces to really inspire other women to get active. And that was a real... but it's not just about inspiration, it's also about invitation. You have to see yourself in something if you want to join in. And I think it's a bit like if you ever at a wedding and they open up the dance floor and no one goes, no one wants to be the first one up, you need someone to actually encourage people up there and to invite them on there. And that's what we've needed to do with This Girl Can as well. So yes, we have our inspiring women, our inspiring images, our relatable women who you can see and who you see feel look like you. We've also worked with the sector to really change the opportunities that they create so they are better adapted to meet women's needs. And we've really celebrated all those moments and those moments in the feeling. So throughout This Girl Can, it's always been about the feeling of getting active. Sometimes it's about the joy of stopping as well as the joy of doing. Sometimes it's just a relief to get it over with. But really celebrating that and giving that an attitude. And then we launched our first TV ad.
Mississippi putting it down. I'm the hottest round. And if you want me, y'all can stop me now. Is you with me now? The biggie bounce. I know you think the way I switch my style. Get your freak on. 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 People, here I come. Now sweat me when I'm done. Now people gather round. Now people jump around.
Okay, I'm not sure the thing I needed to say today was more people getting hot and sweaty. So sorry about that. If it's made you feel even hotter, it has me. I think what was really important about that was the authenticity, and all those drops of sweat that you see were real. Our poor women who we found on in swimming pools, in leisure centres, at park runs, on football pitches, getting active, were doing what they genuinely do. Asked them to get involved in the ad, and then made them work out really hard before we started filming. So every drop of sweat you see is authentic and real. So that was the inspiration and the invitation, but we also needed to interrupt conversations, change those conversations. And so we had to be provocative, which for the government organisation that Sport England is quite difficult. This was our first ever poster. I love this because it feels so outdated now, but 11 years ago, women playing football was a bit weird. Turns out we're better at it than the boys so far, twice. So let's see how they do over the next couple of weeks. But trying to be provocative, trying to have an attitude, trying to have a sense of humour, and trying to change the conversation. So that interruption to the norm is really, really important. We continue this throughout the campaign with new conversations, so particularly about menstruation, during sport and physical activity. Especially younger girls and teenagers will just not be physically active during their period. That's 1 week in 4, I'm sure you all know. So it's very hard to build up a habit, and also it denies them some of the benefits that getting active during your period can bring. So showing a very visible tampon string during one of our ads was a really important way of starting that conversation and keeping it going, and not being afraid to be provocative. We've continued it by presenting more of the issues through the research that we know affects women. Women's safety after dark has become really more and more focused on. I mean, it's always been there, but it's been really, really focused on since 2021. And so every year now, this will be the 4th year, we do our Let's Lift the Curfew events, which it's half a protest, half a celebration. Last year we had 11,000 women running at 350 runs across the country at the end of October, so it's time to when the clocks go back. Although women's safety, getting active outdoors, is a year-round, day and night issue, but this really draws attention to some of the policies and some of the things that can change, because this again is about imagination. It's not inevitable that we don't feel safe getting active outdoors. It's a result of the society that we collectively have created, and that can change. And so really drawing attention to that and making those conversations happen, because conversations bring about change. And so we've also needed to influence the sector. So working with, for example, UK Active, we've produced guidance and resources that help gyms introduce policies and training and support to help staff deal with harassment and intimidation in gyms, because our research shows, again, that's somewhere else where women, especially younger women, can feel vulnerable. And then finally, we are getting there, I promise. We've achieved a lot, but it's not enough. We know that not all women are getting active in the same way. We know that if you're on a lower income, from Black communities, South Asian heritage, pregnant or older, it can be harder. You face additional barriers. And we're not done until all women feel able to be active in the ways that work for them. So we've really gone back and immersed ourselves in their worlds, immersed ourselves in the insight, and understood what those additional barriers are that are holding them back. And that immersion is really important. And it's being really intentional as well. It's thinking about who's missing. So when you get your research, when you get insight, when you see who's showing up, when you see who's getting involved, you think about, okay, who is missing from this? And without that intention, then you will never be truly inclusive, which is what we need the campaign to be. I will skip through, and this again has been brought to life through insight and research, so as well as actually talking directly to the women we're trying to reach, through out-of-home ads, through our creative, through more TV advertising, through all our social media. We've also done more guidance for the sector so they can better understand how much you meet the needs, for example, of women who maybe need a women-only space, or people who need shorter times, or maybe they need childcare support, and all sorts of other things as well. Because there's often very small modifications that make it possible for more people to be active. And this is our current ad, which hopefully you have seen.
There's so many things we like about you. We just don't know where to begin. We like the way you show you care. We like the way you're always there. But most of all, most of all, we like the way you
So hopefully you see that the joy shines out of it, the diversity, the inclusion, the intention, the absolute making sure that all women feel able to be part of that. And that's the Britain that that I recognise and I'm proud to be part of. Oh, I should have done a content warning. Sorry, I don't like feet, so I find this difficult. But this is what happens if you get all of that right and you do that, then you create something that people make part of themselves, which is quite an extraordinarily terrifying thing to happen because the weight of responsibility you feel. I also struggle with this image because I'm not brilliant with feet and also I'm a brand person and the font's wrong. So this is really just, if you want to get a tattoo, let me know and I will send you through the Pantone reference colours and the font. I don't know what's more offensive, the toes or the wrong branding, but it's incredible to have created something that people want to be part of that. But that's because we worked really, really hard to connect that original insight through imagination, through something that really resonated with our women. So just to summarise really, I got carried away with my eyes here, possibly. But this is what I think it takes. It starts with insight, but without that imagination to take that and do something more and to open up possibilities, the insight alone won't do it for you. You need that imagination, you need that creative spark. And I think that's where the human touch, which is what I meant to say at the beginning, that's where the human touch really comes from. That inspiration and invitation so that you're bringing everyone in with you. Interrupting and influencing and really looking at how you can disrupt the norm and find out who you can get involved and working with. To be honest, at the beginning, we told the sector off a little bit too much. We're much better at working with the sports sector now. And I always have to do that. So anyone interested in this space, please talk to me. And then finally, that immersion and intention. None of this happens by accident. We didn't set out to create moments of joy. I think that's what we've done with the campaign. But I don't have children, but I have seen my sisters try and make Christmas joy happen, and it's fucking hard. Sorry. It's really hard work. It's really hard work. Any parents will know, especially mothers, I think, will really know joy and magic doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of work. So we do the work so the joy happens out there. Doesn't just fall in our place. And I guess that's probably the biggest, without the swear word, message that I wanted to leave you with. Thank you.